All right, so hopefully you still have your 7th grade vocabulary packet for social studies. If you lost that at some point, I do have extra copies with the words that we already filled out up on my desk for you while I'm gone. So I want you to make sure when you take this one with you, you put it in your folder for social studies so you don't need another copy later on in the year. But this morning, or this afternoon, depending on when you have class, we are going to work on some new words in our social studies vocab packet. So we already did authoritarianism, and the next word is on page 3, a word that we discussed during our culture unit, which is collectivism. The belief of giving the whole group priority over each individual within the group. So examples from class that we have are we versus me. And we have homelessness and the Maimafu. That was a really good story that helped us really understand that collectivist ideal. Okay, so for my illustration, I guess I'm going to go back to my stick figures. And just have a group of people working together toward a common goal. So some related words that you might share here would be collectivist, as if you wanted to make it one person, okay? All right, our next word. Don't be afraid, I'm sorry, before we go to the next word, don't be afraid to pause this video and finish your notes before you go on to the next word. So our next word is literally on the next page, page 4, which is culture, the way of life of people who share similar beliefs and customs. So examples from class are 7 aspects. We have the arts, we have religion, we have government, we have economy, we have traditions, we have social structure. Oh, we're running out of room. We're going to go out of the box. And we have language. Okay. I'm going to rehash the debate here. Of language as part of culture. Soda versus pop. All right, and some related words that we had there are like the biggest thing of culture is those customs, traditions, and remembering that it's visible and invisible. Okay, the next word is right below culture. It's cultural appropriation. It's something that we haven't discussed yet as a class, but it will be coming up in some future lessons. So some of this will sound new to you, and that's okay. I kind of want this to be like a precursor for some words so that when I come back from my surgery, we're ready to go on this. So cultural appropriation, the best way that I will describe it in class is wearing a person's culture. So basically, it's the unacknowledged or inappropriate adoption of customs, practices, ideas by one culture by a member of another, usually dominant culture. It's like when you're wearing another person's culture. Whether you're stealing their dances and trying to make them seem like your own culture's dances, or you're wearing their clothes and trying to do it for style instead of appreciating their culture, or even like wearing Native American headdresses is a form of cultural appropriation where you steal something of their culture and try to make it something of your own. You kind of exploit it, which is one of the related words that I'd like to throw in there, is just exploitation, where you kind of are stealing. Let's add that up here. Stealing or wearing a person's culture. Okay. Boy, the artwork for this one's hard, and I will not blame you for leaving it blank, just because specifically I'm not a super great artist, but this is going to be my... Looks like his head's on fire. All right. Okay. Some dude wearing a Native American headdress saying, "Yo, bro, look at my headdress." Not the way that we appreciate culture. That would be exploiting their culture or cultural appropriation. Okay. Literal next page, another word that we haven't really discussed in class yet that will be coming up, which is cultural diffusion, or the spread of beliefs, activities, and practices from one group to another. Okay. Some classroom examples that we'll talk about here are foreign foods is the easiest way to see cultural diffusion. Okay. When one culture moves into another culture and some parts of their culture start to become part of another. So, for example, if you eat pasta or you eat burritos, you are experiencing cultural diffusion because these are foods that are not traditionally part of the American cuisine. We have things that are part of the Italian cuisine or part of the Hispanic Mexican cuisine that have become something very normal for us to eat because they have slowly spread around the world as something that's popular that we can eat. All right. So again, let's go. Here's my plate. Maybe it's a bowl. Good. Spaghetti. All right. I don't know. Not an artist. All right. So some related words for that are influence, how other cultures influence each other, and spread. Basically, how cultures spread out from one culture to another. All right. Our next word is on page 7, and it is ethnocentrism, which relates very much to what we've been talking about, the belief that one's culture or ethnic group is superior or more normal than others. Okay? Couple examples of this. If you were, I can't remember if it was A Day or B Day, but in one of our classes we talked about the Hutus and the Tutsis in Rwanda and how there was genocide there, that one group found the other group to be not as good as them simply because of their background and committed genocide. Okay? We also see this when Europeans set up colonies. Okay? They said, oh, especially in the United States, in what would become the United States, they came over and said, the natives don't deserve this. They're not as good as us. Our culture is better. We'll do better with this land and basically take it. That's a definite example of ethnocentrism. Okay? Some related words that we might look at here are nationalism, thinking that your country is better than most just because your culture is the one that seems better. And it also is just a form of racism. Oftentimes race will also play a role in this. Let's see, we'll do a little map of the United States here, and then a European saying, "We're better. We get this land." Okay. All right. Flipping to page 10, a word that you should be very familiar with at this point, individualism. Remember, that's the me is better than the we. Okay? Good of the individual is more important than the good of the group. So individual, we want I am more important than the needs of the community. Remember, this isn't good or bad. This is kind of relating back to that, are we independent? Are we self-reliant? Do we rely on ourselves to make sure that we're taken care of? Okay. Uniqueness. Oops. That's some rough writing. Uniqueness is not only celebrated, but encouraged. Okay. I got an E+. Who cares about everyone else? Okay. We want to make sure that we take care of our grades. You don't have to worry about other people's grades. In an individualistic society, we're looking at, is everyone taking care of themselves? All right. And we're going to page 15 for worldview. Okay. The overall perspective from which one sees and interprets the world. This is, you're either an individualist or a collectivist. And remember, that's a sliding scale. When we took our little survey, some of you were at a 6, some of you were at a 5. It doesn't mean you're all the way one way or the other, but there's usually a scale that you land on. Okay? This is how you see the world. Okay? It's also known as perspective. How you grew up, how you learned to see the world around you. And the last thing we're going to do is we have one additional root to add. You're also probably need to add this to your English roots, I believe, is the rule. So the root that we're looking at here is anthropo, which means human. And where we saw this was anthropology or anthropologist. Okay. It is the study of human history, like cultures. Some related words could be like anthropomorphic, which is a huge word, but it's basically what Bugs Bunny and Scooby-Doo are. When something takes on human attributes that isn't human. So for me, we got, what's up, Doc?